again, Sade, and this video we're going to be going over how to make your bill list. So if you watched my other videos, I do discuss how you need to list all of your bills, all the bills, like everything that you spend money on for the month. So if you are someone who likes to get facials, likes to get their nails done once a month, all that jazz, like all that needs to be a part of your bills. So let's do this bill list, right? So doing your bill list, listing all the bills that you have is like the absolute first step in your budgeting. Like it's the most important step, right? You can't begin to streamline everything if you don't know how much or what type of bills that you have coming out. So I like to do everything digitally, as you can see, and my favorite thing about my Samsung Notes, I get to pick my different type of templates. So I usually just go for a regular like notepad type of look when I'm listing out all my bills. The reason that I love to do everything digitally is because I love the opportunity to being able to color code things how I want. So we're gonna go ahead and do our bill list. So you're going to want to be completely and utterly honest with yourself. I color code them all red just because, you know, red means it's getting taken out. It's leaving. So I do color code everything. So we're gonna have first and foremost my tithe. So I believe in the tithe. It is when you give 10% of your income back to God. So it's not a loss, but it is something that I need to budget for because it is 10% of my income. So we have that. We have our rent. We have our State Farm, which is like all my insurances, life insurance, renter's insurance, like all the things, right? And then we have our electric, and we have our NICOR, which I'm sure these are going to be different for everyone depending on where you live, but this is what I got going on where I live. So, and then we're gonna list my credit cards. I have a few. Like I said before, I do like to watch Terry Cowser. She's absolutely amazing, but we are supposed to have several credit cards, but be smart with it. So I'm not just saying, girl, go, you know, get you the whole boat, but you do need some credit cards in order to have a better credit score, in order to get the things that you want for yourself. Okay. So now that you've listed all your bills, you're going to want to be very honest and accurate with how much these things cost. So what I have done is I have signed into all of my credit card accounts to see what my actual minimum payment is. I have you know, just seeing like your rent is going to be standard. Your tithe, depending on how you get paid, is going to be pretty standard. Your electricity can differ. Your gas usage can differ. Oh, I didn't put my water on there, but yeah, your water usage can differ as well. So just being mindful of that when you're doing this, but you know what you consume and use, and if you're pretty, you know, standard and set with it, then you're not going to have any issues when it comes to this at all. So now I listed all the things that I pay for, my bill amounts, and so I'm going to put the dollar amounts of everything, and you know, it costs money. So for the sake of this, I'm not going to use my numbers, but we're just going to go through this so you can do it for yourself, because I just don't want you guys to get caught up on my numbers and taking it too literal. I want you guys to really take stock in what you're doing with your money. So once I've listed them all, I total them. So I've totaled them all out. Now, I know how much income I have. So I'm going to do my income, right? And then I'm going to subtract my total bills from that amount. And then I'm going to get my leftover. And this is going to be pretty standard, right? So this is like our master list of taking us to where we need to go. So I have my income, subtracting my total bills, and then the amount of money I have left over. So now that we have the main bill list, we're going to go ahead and scroll it on down, because now we're going to break up our bill list into our categories. So I've talked about this before. So I do have the 3 categories for our bills. So we have the operational, and that's going to be anything that we need to live. And then our next one is going to be our debt. And then the other one is going to be luxury, which you really can't see that. So let's pick a different color. Okay, so that's going to be our luxury expenses. So going, down the list, doing it in a color coordinated, fashion, because it just makes it easier for myself. There are certain things that are just operational. So we're going to have our rent, so our State Farm. We're going to have our electric. We'll have our water, Nicor, and then we have our food, and then we have our phone, then we have gas, right? Because we need that for our vehicles. If you did have a car payment, this is the place that you would add it. So we're going to add car payment. We don't have it, but we're going to add it for the sake of this. So we have our rent, State Farm, electric, Nicor. We have our driving gas, our food, and our phone. So those are the things that we consider to be our operations, right? And I would generally total up this amount just so I know how much it is. And I total it because it's great for you to know your numbers. What I mean by knowing my numbers is when it's all said and done, right? Because like luxuries, I don't have to have, right? Debts, I can pay them down, off, and they could be gone. But I need to know operationally how much am I spending? Like how much below my income or within my income am I spending? And that's going to gauge, what's going on. I will tell you, which I've said it before, that the food expense, that's where it's going to get you. And just to be legit with my numbers, for 1 month, feeding 3 people, I budget $128.04 for my food budget. I know we'll do a video about it, but that's my budget. That's what I have budgeted myself to spend so I can stay below my income and still able to save on top of that. Now, if I have a lot of money left over, if I'm like doing good, like of course I will kick a couple more dollars towards my food budget if I can, but my main thing right now is paying down my debt, making sure that they are controllable, that my credit score is still rising, looking good, and I'm still able to manage these operational expenses. So now that we've done operational, the next one we're going to jump into are our debts. So that would be my credit card. So I have my credit cards. And I have my credit cards, and then I have a loan, a personal loan. So these are the things that you need to specifically know the minimum payment. You don't want to be paying more down on your debt and then still using it, because then it just becomes a cycle that you're throwing cash at something that you really shouldn't. So that's where, all the people that I watch to get this information and that I've taken bits and pieces and it works for me, that's where it helps. Because if you are a follower of Dave Ramsey, you know that he says eliminate that debt, period. Like, no debt. Dead the debt. But Terry Kauser will tell you use your debt to leverage to have wealth. And so I'm adopting both of those things. So I am paying down my debt, but I'm having my subscription things come through those credit cards so I can manage that debt. Make sense? So if I have my Netflix payment coming out of a credit card, it's $15.99 a month. That's manageable. That is actually below any of my minimum payments for my credit cards. That way I'm in control of how much it's spending, and I know that I'm just spending that amount of money each month. That's how you get your balances paid down and get yourself in a great space to not only build your credit score, but then have financial freedom. Because if you have paid off your credit card, right, your credit card is paid off, now you have adopted a subscription to be allotted for this card, then you're only just paying how much the subscription is at that point. You know what I'm saying? So like my Hulu was $5.99. So if I got a $5.99 credit card payment, like, that's what's up. But the thing that what's happening is I'm having a low balance on my card, but then it's also helping me have on-time payment history. All those things are important. So now I have my credit card listed, and then we're going to jump into our luxury things. So for our Lux things, we're going to have, like I said, they got the Netflix, the Hulu, I got Audible, and that's it. And that's like actually really good. Like I've kind of like cut that down like real tight. Like, yeah, it took a lot. It took a lot to get to that point. So, depending on like how many credit cards and everything that you have going on, I actually believe in doing your gas out of a credit card as well. So I'm gonna just go over really quickly how I take my expenses and I then correspond them with a credit card, like I said before. So they have a payment, they have a charge going onto them, but then I'm also able to pay it off. That's the game that you play to keep your score looking tight. Okay, so what I will do is I'm going to list my credit cards. So my Cap One, my my Indigo, my Destiny, got First P one, and then First P two, and then that's it. So things that can come off of these accounts, I'm going to list them over here, and these would be our Lux things. So we have our Netflix, and then we have our Hulu, and then we have our audio. But one of the other things that I'm going to add to this is actually an operational expense, but it's going to be gas. So one of the ways that I determine which is going to come out of what is actually seeing what the minimum payments are for each card. You need to know that. That's like super important information. Obviously, you don't want to just be guessing. You want to know how much your minimum payments are. So we're going to go ahead and list those. So we have 25, 40, 40, 29, 29. Those are legit numbers. So you get a little sneak peek in my life. Now, when I tell you to cut the fat, like she went in and cut the fat. So before I had like the highest Netflix, or not Netflix, Hulu subscription, where it was like $54 for the live option, but I was never watching live. So I took it from $54 to $5.99. So if you guys have like the Buku like subscription services, like the platinum, subscription, really sit down and think if you actually need that, because you probably don't. So that's why that payment is $5.99. Netflix is actually the premium one as well, but I'm still like on the line of like, do I want to get rid of it? Do I not? I have to see about that, because it's for you to watch it on 4 screens at once, and it just kind of like just works best that way, because that is like our main thing that we use. And then my Audible is $14.95, and gas, I've budgeted to spend $20 in gas per month. That's just because of the time that I'm living in right now. I don't really have to go many places that often, so I don't need to do my I think I was doing like filling up my gas tank twice in a week, which was $80. So $80 times 4, not a lot of money. Okay, so I don't actually have to do that at this point in time, so that's where the $20 is pretty feasible. So what I do is I take this amount and I decide what card I'm going to designate it to, just to make it easier on myself. And the method to this is you never want to designate an amount of money to a card that is too close to the minimum payment. So like my gas is like $20. I'm not going to want to be doing that for my Capital One or my First P1, First P2. I'm going to want to do that to a card that has a $40 minimum payment, just so I know I can keep myself like on track with that. And then like Audible is fine to go to a First P, as well as this could go to a First P, and then this can go to that card, and then I just have like my Capital One card just kind of like chilling for whatever. So it's chilling for whatever, just in case anything goes down. But this card can be completely paid off, and as long as it's completely paid off, it actually makes my overall credit score pertain, like the credit scoring for cards look good, because it's saying, it's basically averaging out and saying that I'm only spending X amount of dollars out of my total value of my credit card. So it's a good thing. But that is something that you can do when it comes to your credit cards. So this is how I take my main list of bills, me making sure that my bills are under my total income, breaking them down into the type. So we have operational, debt, and luxury, breaking them down into those formats so I know what those things are. And then in order to make sure that our credit cards are having active purchases on them that are not frivolous, that we can control, that are at a nice price point where we're not going to be stressing out trying to pay them, having subscription services be attached to those cards to keep us in a good place as far as our spending goes. So then you'll come to a point where you yourself know when these bills are due, so then you can determine what type of budget you have based off of how much you get paid, and then you'll come to a point where you can break them up into budgets of bi-weekly. So thank you for joining me as I listed all of my bills, how I break them down into categories, and how I have a method onto how I'm going to pay my bills. And then you can join me for when I actually budget for the beginning of the month. So I actually can't wait to share that with you, because I do it in a way that makes it super easy for myself using digital method, and I can't wait to show you. But until then, bye.